This is really pretty intense, pretty massive. They have named a suspect here in the United Healthcare CEO case. This had been going on, of course, for days, and it looked like they just couldn't get to first base on this. This kid that we now know is identified seemingly as Luigi Mangione, 26 years old. He was arrested after being spotted at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania. Police said he had a firearm suppressor and a ghost gun, and it turns out, well, he's got quite a history of being very anti-capitalist and really hating these healthcare companies. Quite a bit coming out here. He's the suspect now that they just got. It was a McDonald's employee actually that helped reveal where he was. He looked suspicious. She recognized him, or he recognized him from the picture that had been sent out, and this particular employee, this McDonald's employee, called in the tip, so acting as a good Samaritan here, and they have since arrested this kid, some tech whiz, originally from Maryland, who really hated the medical community because apparently of how that community treated his grandparents who had died earlier. And so this is really kind of an amazing thing to see. We do have his valedictorian speech. He had been the valedictorian of a prep school in Baltimore. I just want to cut to this for a moment to show you.
Any of us will forget. How about this winter when Kevin Wang delivered his senior speech? As Kevin moved to America and joined our class in 9th grade, English isn't his first language. But that didn't stop him from delivering a both hilarious and thought-provoking speech about his transition to the United States. How about Ray Saunders leading Gilman's first-year cybersecurity team? Even competing against hundreds of veteran teams, the Gilman squad managed to advance to the state and then regional championships. All of these endeavors took a huge amount of courage. They demonstrate that the class of 2016 truly has the fearlessness to explore new things and the obvious ability to excel. But as inventive as the class of 2016 is, our class was able to explore the new while also preserving the old. Just look back at the most significant and magical night of our senior year, the 100th annual Gilman-McDonough football game. After hundreds of hours of preparation, our seniors led the Gilman team to victory. Competing in the second oldest football rivalry in the state of Maryland, however, they represented not just this year's team, but Gilman as an institution and all the alumni that preceded them. So the class of 2016 not only explored new frontiers, but also maintained Gilman's most important traditions. I think this combination of preservation and exploration is what Gilman is all about. Gilman maintains its classic core values by cultivating mind, body, and spirit in its students, but also champions an environment of acceptance and diversity, while excelling in its technological endeavors. This fusion is such a strong part of Gilman, it's even evident in its physical geography. Just look to the construction outside Gilman, or outside. Gilman is actively rebuilding itself, but its brand new fields sit next to classic buildings like Cary Hall. Further, these new constructions, for example, Sotier Stadium, bear with them Gilman's rich history in their names. So it's no surprise that the class of 2016 picked up this ability to explore both.
Okay, so we just wanted to give you a sense of, who he was, who knows how he was radicalized, but, look, UPenn is no joke in terms of some of those horrific protests, right, that we saw on campus, don't forget, that were very anti-Israel, etc. So at some point along the way, this kid sort of became radicalized enough to do something really unthinkable. And you know what's crazy? There's this weird link to the Washington Post, which I have to get into because this is just coming into us right now. And it's really kind of frightening because when Donald Trump says that the media is the enemy of the people and everybody's like, oh my gosh, isn't he awful? You kind of look at this and you're like, wait a second. Given what's happened on so many Ivy League campuses with the way these kids have tried to terrorize anyone that might be sort of pro-American and pro-Israel, or the way this kid now is using all of this anger that has been projected on him in part because of the mainstream media. I mean, this is a kind of radicalization, right? So anyway, they've been able to identify this kid, Luigi Mangione, arrested in Pennsylvania, found with a firearm suppressor, a ghost gun, multiple fraudulent IDs. This was a McDonald's employee that actually gave them the tip. And the questioning that they're doing right now comes after days of labor-intensive police work, apparently that includes scanning thousands of hours of surveillance footage, interviewing witnesses, tracking down hundreds of tips, gathering evidence for forensic analysis. And then, of course, it came out earlier today that they said they believed that they had the suspect. They knew they were narrowing in. They didn't want to actually release his name just yet until now. And it's really, let me see if I can give you some pictures of him, because again, 26 years old, this is really, really messed up, guys. Again, all of this just coming into us. It's sad to see. Okay, so, had his whole life in front of him and somehow took to violence. Again, like, hey, nobody likes the health insurance companies. I get it, all right? But that is never the answer. So here he is with his friends, and just apparently, allegedly, reportedly at this point, doing something that is just awful. But you know what's really weird? I gotta show you this. So there's this connection to the mainstream media that I think we need to explore right now. So my team and I, we came to you a little bit late today because, again, this is breaking story, and we're going to get back to the ABC Disney thing, and we got a lot to talk about with Daniel Perry as well. But take a look at this right here. So this is his Twitter account, and apparently he was being followed by a Washington Post reporter from some time ago, somebody who has been aggressively coming out against these CEOs of these healthcare companies. She's been exposing them or, sort of outing them in a way that has not been considered really cool to do in this time and place right now at all, almost seemingly, asking for this. I'm just going to have my team right now bring us the actual video, because this is, you need to see her as well. So I'm getting this in live time. Grab us the video itself, please. This woman, Taylor Lorenz, people are saying like she's actually sort of dangerous. She was the one who was actually calling for, if you would, this sort of anger. She said people wonder why these people are dead, and then she's trying to do this whole expose. Like, look, don't get me wrong. Again, like, no one likes the health insurance companies, myself included, right? And they need to do some reform. But the answer is not to actually take up guns and assassinate people. And here she is, like, labeling everybody to the point where there were CEOs being taken off a website. CVS, I guess, had to take down all their information about their personnel because of this. Here's the Fox News team doing a report on her. Former Washington Post reporter says, quote, "We want these executives dead after murder of health insurance CEO." I mean, what? What kind of person is she? I got to show you this video. Her name is Taylor Lorenz, and it's really gross. It's really gross. So she's calling for this stuff. This guy gets knocked off. And oddly, let's go back to this kid's Twitter account. She's been following for a while. I mean, a lot of people have since started following him because he's posting all these pictures and sort of, he's got this weird kind of cross section between some conservative alliances and this Antifa stuff, this whack job, socialist, anti-capitalist stuff. And there's this Washington Post reporter. Forgive me, I'm jumping ahead here to the Daniel Penny story, but this is this Washington Post reporter who's sharing her reaction right after the fact, saying that these people should be dead, and you wonder why. You wonder why Trump is out there saying, like, the media is not your friend. The media is not on your side. I would only say this, you know what, Jeff Bezos, I think it's probably time to fire this Washington Post reporter. I think that would probably be the prudent thing to do. I mean, you can't have somebody running around saying crap, excuse my French, I rarely get that angry, but crap like that at a time like this, regardless of whatever you think, okay, about healthcare and the sector and the CEOs, etc. We are not going to turn into some kind of crazy Latin American jungle, thank you very much, where you got to hire paramilitaries to protect you from the likes of this. I mean, this is really gross and inexcusable. But here's Jeff Bezos just the other day. Bezos acting so optimistic, saying, oh, of course, like, the media is going to come around, like Trump can have a good relationship with the media, etc. I don't think so.
I'm super optimistic
about this president. And the reason I ask is because
I'm very optimistic that President Trump is serious about this regulatory agenda,
right.
And I think he has a good chance of succeeding.
What about the idea that he thinks that the press is the enemy?
Well, I think I'm going to try to talk him out of that idea. I don't think the press is the enemy. And I don't think, he's also, you've probably grown in the last 8 years. He has too. Like, this is not the case. The press is not the enemy.
I hope you're right.
I hope I'm right too.
Yeah. Well,
4 days after a judge ordered Donald
I will
Trump.
just say this. I will say this. I think that when you have a woman like this working for the Washington Post, you got to start to ask some questions. Don't forget, she's the one who outed the personal information of End Wokeness, which is a popular Twitter account. Here she is. Let's listen to Taylor Lorenz in her own words.
I'm speaking to the sentiment. People do want these executives dead. If you have
But you
watched,
said we want them dead, and I guess that's...
I mean, look, I'm going to say I'm with the people in the sense that if you have watched a loved one die because insurance has denied them life-saving essential health care, it is natural to wish that the people who run those systems would suffer the same fate as your loved one. And
Okay. So yeah, I'm thinking it's time for Jeff Bezos to clean house there at the Washington Post, because this is effectively a justification. You kind of got to wonder, what did she know? Why was she following this guy from the beginning? What is that about? What is that about? So again, here's what we know. 26 years old. He was actually getting a master's degree in engineering from University of Pennsylvania being one of the wokest schools on earth, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Up there with Harvard and Yale and all these other woke institutions where they're corrupting young people, which is, in my opinion, what's going on in academia these days and why we need some kind of pendulum swinging back to the middle so that we have some common sense out there. What do we believe in? We believe in fairness. We believe in capitalism. We believe in a meritocracy. We don't believe in some kid going and shooting up the CEO of. I'm just disgusted that Washington Post reporter would say something like that. And now we got to ask the question, why was she following him? Why was she following this crazy guy who had an anti-capitalist Ivy League agenda? He liked quotes from the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. I mean, one messed up dude. One messed up dude. Again, this is the person of interest that they're arresting. They believe that he is the one who took aim at Brian Thompson, ending his life, an anti-capitalist Ivy Leaguer. And again, I get back to, you know what? Donald Trump, when he says the media is out there, they're out there. You know who else is out there? The Ivy League schools, the institutions that are getting these kids to the point where they're going to do these horrible things. I'm sorry. It's just wrong. What just happened with Daniel Penny? That's right. But you know what? The fact that he had to go through the hell that he endured, that is so wrong. Alvin Bragg, done. Gone. Letitia James, I'm sorry. It's just becoming too much. And now you got this idiot kid gunning people down in the streets, successfully so. Not okay.